Time now for Around Town. Hey, Anna.
Hey, good morning, Robin. I'm at Westmont Yard with the Hinsdale Falcons and the Lakeshore Lacrosse team. And we're talking about how training at the younger level, at the school level, has changed, specifically in high-impact sports, to reduce the chances of concussions. We're going to talk to some coaches, especially the Hinsdale Falcons coach, to tell us how they're teaching them how to tackle the right way, how to do a lot of these important and crucial sports movements, or drills. See, when you make me talk about sports, that's when I mess up. To reduce the chances for these kids to hurt themselves so badly that it could cost them their athletic career and possibly their chances for a good life. When we come back Around Town, we'll have more from Westmont.
Thanks, Anna.
Time now for Around Town.
Hey, Anna.
Good morning, Larry and Robin. We're in Westmont with the Hinsdale Falcons, trying to prevent or at least reduce the chances of concussions in youth football. I'm here with Jay Novotny. Hello.
Hi, Anna.
So you're going to demo the correct way to tackle.
Yes.
Show me this, and then tell me why this is the correct way.
What we want to do is keep the head out of the way.
Okay, makes sense.
It all starts with position. You want to get in the right position, squeeze those shoulders back, and launch into the player to get the head up and out of the way.
What would be the wrong way to do it?
Over here, go ahead, guys.
Okay. See, head
we got
first.
head down, head first. We don't want that. We want the head up, the shoulders up, and reaching.
Okay. All of a sudden, he's an actor.
He's okay.
All of a sudden,
He's okay. He's okay.
When we come back, we'll have more with the Falcons and Hinsdale Around Town this morning, reducing the chances of concussion in these high-impact contact sports.
But first, Anna's Around Town at Westmont Yard. Hey, Anna.
Hey, good morning, Larry. When you think concussions during a game, you think football. Well, let me tell you, lacrosse, girls lacrosse could be an issue, too. Actually, we've learned today that females can be more susceptible to concussions. Why? We have a doctor that will explain coming up. And also, what are those signs of a concussion? And your kid not necessarily has to pass out, throw up, have a violent reaction. It could be something very subtle, and you have to watch out for it. We are trying to reduce the chance of concussions during high-impact sports. Around Town this morning, we'll have more coming up. Back to you.
Time now for Around Town.
Anna's in Westmont. Hey, Anna.
Kids are going back to school soon. They're going to sign up for sports, some of them football, soccer, lacrosse, and that can increase the chances of a head injury, possibly a concussion. And we're here with Dr. Jeffrey Mjaanes from the Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Good morning.
Good morning, thanks.
So we can't call everything a concussion. How would you describe what a concussion is?
A concussion really is a shaking of the brain inside the skull. So the head gets hit and the head stops and the brain basically shakes inside. And if it's enough shaking, it can cause an injury.
So how can I spot a concussion? I have little kids and they always tell me, don't let them go to sleep, if their eyes dilate, if they start throwing up. But as they grow, how would I know?
Well, a concussion can sometimes be very easy to pick up on. You can see somebody get a hit and then they might be stumbling around and things like that, but oftentimes that's not the case. Most concussions happen without any loss of consciousness. The kid may not black out at all. So the symptoms can be subtle. It could be a headache or dizziness or just feeling foggy or slightly confused. So really, if you see a hit on the field and your son or your daughter gets hit in the head, you should ask them if they have a headache or dizziness or feel foggy, feel confused, trouble seeing, anything like that.
Will that happen immediately, doctor, or can it happen the next day?
It could sometimes take several hours to develop, and so the symptoms may not be apparent right away, but usually it happens fairly quickly, within a couple hours. Symptoms that present after a day or so are likely not to be a concussion.
Got it. Because of the NFL and what we know now, what happens to players, this is much of a lot more at the forefront. Should parents be that worried about this level of playing?
Well, you know, to be honest, the younger you are, the worse you tend to do with a concussion. It's kind of the opposite of an ankle sprain, for example. So a younger child will actually take longer to have their symptoms clear than an adult. And they actually are more susceptible to complications from a concussion, such as prolonged symptoms. So really, you should be extra cautious when they're little.
Exactly. And if it happens, take them to the doctor. If they have a concussion, how long will it take them to recover? When can they hit the field again?
Yeah, I would say even if you suspect a concussion, take them in, because not not every hit, like you said, is a concussion, but we want to get it checked out. We don't want to miss that concussion and have them go back too early. Usually it takes about 7 to 10 days, but kids can take longer to heal. And really, you only go back to sports when we say we think you're safe enough to go back.
And as of last week, Governor Ronner made that the law. The kids need a signed slip from the doctor saying you're okay to go back.
They do. What changed in this new law is you need a signed permission, basically, from the physician that you can go back to play sport and to school. And it applies not just to schools, but any youth club for any youth sports club or organization.
Thank you so much. Great information.
Thanks for having me.
And just so you know, we've been hanging with the Hinsdale Falcons. This is who you've been looking at. Back to you guys.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, I'm at Westmont Yard in Westmont talking to the president of the Hinsdale Falcons. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning, Anna.
So what are the guidelines you guys are following now when kids have a possible concussion or a certain kind of severe injury?
Sure. Our program, as well as all the other programs in the Bill George Youth Football League, have a concussion protocol. That means we have the player evaluated, pulled out of practice or the game, as the case may be, and they will continue to be evaluated until they are cleared to play.
And a doctor has to sign that slip, if you will.
Correct. A doctor or a certified trainer.
Now it has to be not only to go back to play, but to go back to school. It's a law now.
That's correct. It was just recently passed.
Perfect. When we come back around town, we will give you more tips on how to reduce the chances of concussions on the field now that all these kids are going back to school and they're going to start playing these high-impact contact games. Back to you guys.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, Robin, Larry, I'm at the Westmont Yard talking about concussions and young athletes. I'm here with Dr. Julia Bruene, also of Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what are those myths about concussion?
Well, the first one is that you don't want to think about it having your bell rung. I mean, it's a real brain injury. We want to kind of change the way we're thinking about it. So, you know, it's important to understand when you have an impact and you have some symptoms, you got to tell your coach, you got to tell your trainers, because you really want to be assessed correctly. The second is that helmets don't necessarily prevent concussions, but they do prevent skull fractures and major brain injuries, but they don't prevent against concussions. But it is important to wear them to prevent against those bigger injuries.
And have them fit correctly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nice and tight.
Nice and tight with your chin strap strapped in, depending on what sport you have, you know, if you have a chin strap.
We're looking at the Lakeshore Lacrosse team. Is it true that girls are more susceptible to concussions than boys?
Not necessarily. There's a new study that just came out that said they're probably about equal, but we tend to think that girls may be a little bit more forthcoming about saying that, yeah, I have these symptoms. So, but there's really not a huge gender difference between the two.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruene. All right, Mike Toomey, take it away. Good morning, Robin. You're wondering, what do I have on? Christine Ross is here to explain it. What is this test?
This is a brand new technology we're using to offer a baseline test to students and athletes to make sure that we're testing for concussions.
Okay.
And what it does is it uses the new Oculus Rift virtual reality goggles. So what we do is we immerse them in a virtual reality simulation, and we test balance, reaction time, and spatial memory.
So what are you going to test now for me?
Balance.
All right.
Okay, so stand with your hands on your hips and try and stay steady.
Oh, geez. Okay.
You're doing a great job.
What you see on the screen is what I'm seeing inside these goggles. And the feeling is really, I'm a little dizzy. This is not that easy. And this is baseline. So if the kids, God forbid, have something happen to them, you can go back to this test and kind of check what the difference is between their brain power then and now after a possible concussion.
That's correct. We are rating them on a scale of 1 to 10. And if there is a deviance of 1.5 points from the original score, we know that they have a concussion. This is a very sensitive instrument.
Wow. Okay, can I take these off and we can show more stuff?
Yep.
All right, so you have another test with these controls right here, right?
We do. This one is this was spatial memory. And so I'm going to take you through, close out of this.
And we have an actual athlete.
We have an actual
call that myself.
Yeah.
To doing this with the Hinsdale Falcons that have been helping us all morning long. And then they get a sticker after they're done just to prove that they've taken this test. All right, what am I doing here?
So use these toggles to navigate through the maze.
Okay.
So the actual test will take you through 4 turns, take you to a door, and then you have to retrace your steps another 4 turns.
Okay.
So you memorize the route, and you have to use the controller to go through it.
Mary, come back here so you can see this. This one's different. Okay, and is everybody doing this? What have you seen? Because you're the only ones that have been doing this kind of testing. Who's calling you, and how often are they doing this for the kids?
We do testing for all sorts of athletes, from as young as 6 years old up to professional level. So we're working with teams, organizations, and schools to take them through this test.
Wow.
To do baseline testing. And we applaud Governor Rauner for his bill he just recently signed. We just hope he makes it mandatory at some point and makes it part of the school physical.
Because this is a great reference. When something happens, you have this to figure out exactly how much damage was done.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Sports Brain. Christine Gross, you can find out more information if you text us. And now you know, have a safe school year, guys. This is not that easy, let me just tell you. And my brain sounds is pretty sound. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching WGN Morning News. Don't go away. We'll be right back.